Hi there, I'm Linda and this is Huttons Valley Permaculture. I thought I'd just make a quick video to take you with me to see if this morning's frost has wiped out my macadamia tree. This morning it was below zero and I got up early at 6 o'clock with a torch to go out to cover up my tree. Now it was quite cool and crispy. My sheep had white fleece, my alpacas had white fringe, even the cows had frost on them this morning. The chilies were chilled and all the veggies looked beautiful with the glimmering frost on them. But the bad thing about the frost, of course, is your frost sensitive plants. If you haven't protected them, well, they are at risk. So let's go down and have a look and see what my macadamias are looking like. This is the third year that my macadamias have faced winter. The first winter was when I first planted them. Now I went to quite some lengths to protect these little trees. I have lost 3 other macadamias in the past. So I built little structures that protected them from the wind and reflected the warm sunlight and covered them over with netting to hopefully stop the frost getting to them. And they survived that first winter really well. For the second winter, they had grown a little bit, so I changed the structure that they had, and I needed to put on a bit of cow proofing as well to make sure my cows wouldn't just come along and eat them. So I put around some chicken mesh to keep the cows out, and then put the netting over the top of them and gave them plenty of room to grow. And they've grown beautifully. The beautiful thing about frosty mornings is it's always followed by these lovely sunny days that are quite warm. Now we're coming up to where my little macadamia tents are. And this one here, now I didn't film it because it was dark this morning. This tree here didn't appear to be too frosted. And so they were looking quite vibrant yesterday when I passed by. And they're not looking quite so happy, but the frost hasn't reached down the plant too far. These lower leaves are unaffected, so it might just sort of stop the growing at this point. But come spring, this tree should just shoot again. Now the plan had been for these trees to form sort of a bit of a canopy over the macadamia as it gets larger, but it's kind of not quite enough. So I think for this year, I've got to put the netting back over the top of it. Now let's look at the second tree and see how that's fared. Okay, so this tree was the one that I noticed the icicles twinkling on the leaves under the torchlight this morning when I was out here. But it also doesn't have the newer shoots like the other little tree had. So it might just have stood up to it a lot better. Okay, and that appears to be the case. You can see these leaves are fairly tough, none of the new growth on this, although you can see some growing points just there. But I think they've been protected well enough from this frost. Well, that's quite a relief, but quite the opposite to what I thought would be the case. So just looking at that first tree, with the sun on the other side of it, you can see those young leaves at the top are the ones that have been most affected, and they're just a bit too tender. But this tree has survived really well. I'm quite relieved because I didn't want to have to go through years 1 and 2 and 3 again. This tree is sort of about 3 feet high, about 1 metre high, and it really makes me feel like we're getting there, that these leaves are tough enough to get through the frost like we had last night. Another few growing seasons and they'll be producing nuts, which will be very exciting, and will have been a relief to get them that far. Now for the moment, I'm just going to put this back over the top of this tree. I'm not sure what the weather is going to be overnight and tomorrow, but we want to make sure that it is protected from any frosts. That tree is sufficiently covered now to protect it from any frosts. Not sure if that's going to be again tonight, But there'll be another frost before winter and spring are finished. And while our first macadamia has been burnt by the frost, certainly not enough to kill it, it'll be back growing again come the warmer months. But in the meantime, we're going to tuck it in and make sure we don't expose it to frosts again. Still got some sun coming through, and I'll be back with some ties to secure the netting. Well, I never seem to learn my lesson. I was late getting it on last year and late again with my netting this year, but we should be right from now on. If you haven't got your trees covered over and you get frosts, do it now. I hope you've enjoyed today's quick video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.